Anyways, welcome to my VTuber debut. Well, not much. There's practically no one watching, as expected, of course. As expected. Didn't advertise it well. That was and it was delayed too by what? 10 days? 10 days or so? Yeah, 10 days. Probably delayed by 10 days or so because I have to move house. You know, new house. So I'm in a new room right now. New room. So anyways, I'm just gonna introduce myself as a VTuber. So you can call me Jovan. That's just my real name. So this is my, my full body model. It's not fully rigged though. This model. I just modeled like just halfway, and that's it. I literally rigged this model in just 5 days while I was in uni. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I've revealed this already in my previous real life streams that I'm a Filipino, live in Australia. I'm currently 22 right now. Gonna turn 23 this year, and yeah, I finished Bachelor of Games Design at RMIT. And my personality type is INTJ. So what that means is that, here are the stats. So I'm introverted, intuitive, thinking, judging, and assertive. So yeah, mostly accurate that I'm introverted, but you know, I'm a big. In some ways, mix of both at times. You know, and intuitive. Yep, I doubt. Yeah, practically, I think deeply about reality itself, like really deeply about reality. Yeah, I think a lot. I guess. Yeah, decisive in some ways, somewhat. Sometimes I'm organized, sometimes, and yeah, self-assured. Yeah, it's fairly accurate, 50-50. It's not always accurate, the MBTI, but yeah, it's mostly accurate. It's mostly accurate that I am INTJ. You know, I think deeply about things, about reality. I could discuss more on that later on. And you know, what I liked, you know, since I think deeply about reality itself, you know, like what's the fundamental structure of reality, you know, I look into, you know, natural laws. So the natural, or also known as seven hermetic principles, there are different frameworks on what the natural laws are. There could be 12, there could be 7, but personally I get it to like 9 natural laws. So it's a build-up of these 7 hermetic principles. I like red pills. I swallow them up. You know, I'm a truth seeker in things and trying to figure out why things are the way they are. And you know, I try to maintain a clear mindset as well. I'm not even and finding out why I am the way I am. And yeah, I do love history. I delve into the, you know, the conspiracy side of things as well, like investigate it myself. The kind of history that I usually look into are usually the you know, antediluvian, like 12,000 years ago, ancient civilizations, that sort of thing. If you know Bride's Insight and Robert Zephyr, you'll know what I mean by history. Like this kind of, you know, the non-mainstream history that I usually look into. Sometimes I look into like epic history TV, you know, looking at the historical battles. That stuff's pretty cool. Gaming, ambient music. Yeah, getting into in-depth intellectual discussions. Yeah. Yes. I go to 4chan and just lurk there, really. But sometimes there's a bunch of brainlets in there. Some you know, there's some dumb people in 4chan. I just, you know, lurk. I just lurk there. Sometimes I get very early news in there. Dislikes, willful ignorance. I don't like willful ignorance at all, because, you know, a lot of people say that ignorance is bliss, but in truth, though, I say that ignorance itself is suffering, really. Because if you do not know how to do things, you basically struggle and suffer, right? There are certain things that you have to know, you know? There are certain things you have to know in order to move on and cope with the struggles, right? I don't like blue pills. I don't like, you know, I do not lurk on Twitter, but I know what Twitter is like. You know, the woke. They're uncool in this current times, I guess. Close-mindedness, trolls, woke, yeah. I'll elaborate further on what these natural laws are, I guess, on a future video, perhaps. And here are some of the games, the top 5 games that I played, like 1,893, like almost 2,000 hours playing TF2. I played TF2 a lot, Man on Blade, Skyrim, Fallout New Vegas, Oblivion. Yeah, it's pretty good games. I keep on playing them still. I don't really play the newer ones because my computer doesn't handle them, plus I don't have the money. I don't even have a job yet. I'm still finding a job though. So, anime, Legend of the Galactic Heroes. This is like gold. No, more than gold, perhaps, you know. Really, really good anime. Lane, pretty esoteric anime, literally just about well, it's a bit confusing anime, this one. It's literally just a girl who is an AI of some kind that turn into a human. I don't know. It's a little bit confusing, but I kind of get the idea of the plot. Kogias, yep. I could see myself in this with this character, you know, Lelouch. Yeah, I could see myself in him. Like certain parts of myself, I can see myself in him. Steins Gate. Yep, it's pretty good anime. the thing about world lines and all that stuff. You know, every you know, randomness, right? Randomness is practically a set of predetermined outcomes. That's the reason why the world lines are the way they are, you know? As long you are either limited or you're nothing at all. Nothingness is practically infinity as well. Nothingness and infinity are practically one and the same thing. So, yeah. That's why the world lines are the way they are in this universe. Maji. Yeah, I read the whole manga. There's like 800 chapters of this manga. Maji. It's pretty good world building too. Really good world building. Pretty good. Too bad the anime doesn't really show all of the chapters. I have to show all the chapters of the manga, unfortunately. But you know, I recommend, or I highly recommend it. So here's the stuff that I did. So my work. So here, the top 3 rows are the stuff that I did back when I was in a diploma and advanced diploma of interactive media at RMIT. So yeah, I made 3 games before I even get to the Bachelor of Games Design. So this is like my first interactive fiction. Well, not actually much. I guess it's called interactive fiction. This one. It was made using Twine. This game, City of Intrigues, and this one was made in Unity, and this one is made in Unity. So this game right here, the visuals are practically hand drawn using charcoal, pencil, yeah, and just scan them on my printer. And this one was made when I was in advanced diploma. It's just, you know, my first arcade game. It's pretty good. First 2-player game, I guess. This was my on my final year of uni, first semester. So it's a mixture of you know, tic-tac-toe and Pong, 2 basic games into one. So it's a 2-player game, and this one's my first visual novel sort of game. Very short game, very, very short. You just click and read the story. The story is a bit rough though. Yeah, I coded the whole thing myself. You know, I have to watch some tutorials here and there, but yeah, I coded it. This one here is a game maker game. It's just point and click sort of game. And the last 3, yeah, this one was for my first year. Literally a 3D model that dead tree. Pretty good, I guess. But you know, it's just an interactive sort of game. I was pretty new at Unity when I made this. A diorama, this one. Yeah, you just interact with the room environment. There's some some of the assets are not made by me. You know, we have to like share the assets and use them. This sort of project. It was pretty good. This one is my final group project. It didn't go well as I hoped, unfortunately, but I guess it's playable at least. I got the mechanics working, which is nice. It has these like fancy ass portals. If you look at my show reel, you'll see. Like, yeah. The link is, I guess I have my own itch.io page that you can play these games on. And there's some more work that I've done while I was in uni. So all of this, right, are while I was in uni at RMIT. Like all of this, RMIT. Oh yeah, these are some 3D models that I did. This one my final year, final semester. All 3D modeled them all by myself and textured them using Substance Painter. This one is probably 2nd year. This one's probably, yeah, pretty sure this was 1st year. It was hand painted texture. I'm pretty sure it was hand painted. Yeah, I was modeling using Maya. I didn't know how to use Blender yet, but you know. Perhaps I would use Blender later on and stream on it. Yeah. So these assets, right? These assets right here are used for this sort of project in Unity. So so it's a diorama project. So you made an environment and make it a diorama and make it interactable in some way. So you have to 3D model them, and other people have to 3D model them as well. So yeah. And these ones are my concept art during my second year. So just made a character design and a creature design. So I just named her V-Tree Zoltaurus, you know, like 1800s fantasy sort of setting, military. And she's a noble, and with a weird ass horse, I guess. Yeah. You know, it's my first time doing something like this. I barely do any character design, like at all. I don't even draw that much. This is literally like my first time doing environment concept art. Like, you know, doing my first time. It was my first time I'm doing a draw, like, you know, digitally draw it like this. It was kind of difficult, but you know, I tried. Like, this is literally my first attempt. Took a bit of revisions. Took a week, I guess, to draw all of these. Like this one a week, and then just, you know, change the lighting here and there. This one took a bit as well. Same with here. So yeah. So goals. Goals. So what are my goals? Well, hopefully I should get like 1,000 subscribers, and perhaps in a year or two. I don't know. And formulate a productive routine with live streaming. Perhaps I would live stream using Blender. Oh, right. You know, when I live stream, I use Blender for the first time, going blind, trying to figure out how things work, etc. Or perhaps do a drawing live stream. I don't know. Or play games in general. I'm not sure what to do. I just do whatever. I'm not even that highly organized, according to my personality. It says, I don't know, where does it say about highly organized? I don't know where it says. I'm not, I guess 40% of me is not entirely, I guess 35% of me is not highly organized. I don't really know. I just sometimes go with how I feel at times, you know? I just do. I'm not really highly organized on what I do. Yeah, I should make more games, design portfolio. I guess. Right. I guess I have to sleep early for that one. Be more energetic and motivated. Yeah. Right. There's not much to it. And oh yeah, I want to like share my wisdom, I guess. Like talk about it. So, you know, the source of suffering, right, is the lack of knowledge and understand, right? That is literally, I would say, objectively the most accurate thing that I can come up with on what the source of suffering is. Lack of knowledge and understanding. A lot of people say it's attachments, right? But it's not really fundamental enough. It's not. Attachments is not really the source of suffering. It's the lack of knowledge and understanding. How would you know the attachment itself if you do not understand it, right? So, when I think about reality, right, I think about the natural laws or Hermetic principles. Because the natural laws themselves are quite literally the code chunks of reality. So in some ways, reality is, I'll read what I've written down. So, reality is a highly connected, structured system. The mind is that structure. So, the universe is practically mental. And the all is mind. That's the first principle. The principle of mentalism. Like literally every spiritual doctrine or any spiritual endeavor would have to accept this first principle, that the idea that the universe is mental. We live within that mind, and the mind. So I'm gonna read this out. Reality is a highly connected, structured system. The mind is that structure, and the all is mind. We live within that mind, and the mind is God. Anything of value that manifests into reality must move in accordance to the natural laws that are at rest. And as long as quantity exists, random is simply a set of predetermined outcomes. Even if the range of outcomes are causally increased through action, the outcome cannot go out of its range. Because going outside of its range is to be nothing at all. So, yeah. So when you believe in the idea that we live in a simulation, right? You're practically saying the same thing. The universe is mental, the all is mind. The simulation itself is a byproduct of a conscious mind. So here's what I mean by the all is mind. So this Simpsons video illustrates what I mean by the all is mind. As you can see, it zooms out, right? Zooms out of all the space and all zooms out further and further and further, like, yeah. You'll see what I mean by the all is mind. And then you see the particles. And then you see the cells, the molecules, the DNA. Until you see Homer. There you go. The all is mind. That is reality. And I believe that. The all is mind. The universe is mental. If you are an atheist, right? You practically believe that nothingness itself is a physical thing, which is not really true. So as above. So this is what I mean. This is what I mean by as above, so below. You know the phrase. Does anybody know? I guess I'm talking to nobody here. I guess somebody would watch me later on. So. You know the phrase, I think some of you might hear the phrase, as above, so below. So what that means, as above, so below, the principle of correspondence, so that's the principle of correspondence, as above, so below. What that means is practically that everything that you see mimics each other and affects each other, okay? Everything, legit. Everything that you see mimics each other and affects each other. When you create something, you always try to find a reference point, right? Right now I'm describing what happens during the creative process, okay? What I'm trying to explain right now is to explain what really happens when you create something. When you create something, you try to find a reference point, no matter what you do. The reference point can take in many forms, whether they're from your experiences or it could be on hand, right? It could be physical, something that you see on the internet. So something that you see on the internet could be like, physical reference. Could be physical reference, something you see on the internet, or something that you experienced before, or something that you've remembered. So when you create something, you always try to find a reference point. By finding that reference point, you mimic it. You always mimic it. Always. And you add your own variation of ideas that are based on your experience. As soon as something is created, it has limitations and constraints. In all cases, we are either limited or we are nothing at all. Nothingness and infinity are practically almost the same thing. Like legit, almost the same thing. Oh, one person's watching. So yeah, I'm sharing my wisdom. For some... So I could go on and on with this. I've written down a lot of notes. This is on a slides, I guess, yeah. I don't know, I'm just gonna... I wrote down a lot of things. So yeah, I thought about this stuff a lot. Let's see. Yeah, there's so much stuff that I've written down. So here, this is the most important bit. So you know how, so this is how I form right now. What I'm trying to describe is how reality itself has formed. So you have stagnant infinity. So infinity has different forms, you see. And I discovered that when I talked to some random anonymous user in 4chan, right? So the infinity itself has different forms. So there's stagnant infinity, and then there's continuous infinity. So stagnant infinity is a constant void, like a container that has no change, no standard, no form, and no order. Okay. So keyword here is constant. Okay, constant. You have continuous infinity. So this is the feminine aspect. So you know how, so in the so in here, where is it? So when it talks about the masculine principle and the feminine principle, right? When it talks about that sort of thing, I'm just gonna go back to when it talks about the masculine and the feminine aspect, I'm talking about the seventh hermetic principle. So when it talks about this, it refers to this sort. So the feminine aspect of things is practically a container. Like legit, the egg or the womb is literally a container. That's, if you boil it down to what it is really. That's a feminine aspect. Literally everybody, right? Literally everybody has both of these. So the blood that runs in our veins is the masculine aspect, while the flesh, the meat, is the feminine aspect. So the male and the female, right, are just different forms. It's just a different form of duality. Remember, everything is dual. Everything is dual, okay? Everything is dual. The third aspect is literally the unity. It's literally just unity or harmony of duality, okay? That's the reason why God is made of three things, right? The Holy Spirit is the feminine aspect, the Father is the masculine aspect, while Christ represents harmony of duality and harmony, okay? That's why God has three parts. That's what Christianity has been telling everybody. But you know, these are very, it goes very, very heavy. So let's just continue reading on. So you have the feminine aspect, right? Or aka the Holy Spirit, whatever, right? So you have so this is the feminine aspect, stagnant infinity. You have continuous infinity, which is continuous change, okay? This is, just imagine this as a glass, and imagine this as water, okay? Water, glass, and when you combine them together, you have creation, okay? That's what it's literally just 1 + 1 = 2. That's what it is. Legit, that's what it is. It's just that simple. 1 + 1 = 2. That is literally what it is. You need to have anything of value, you need cyclical infinity. We live in a state of cyclical infinity, all right? So stagnant infinity is a constant void, like a container that has no change, no standard, no form, and no order. That is reference by itself, okay? Reference. That's the feminine aspect. Continuous infinity is continuous change, like water, that has no constant, no standard, no form, and no order. That is action by itself. So what you do, like what you're doing, you know. So that's the masculine aspect. So cyclical infinity, like what the current state that we live in right now, is continuous change with a constant standard to give form and order to all things. Right. That's in Christianity, this represents Christ, Jesus, basically. It's all about, there's a lot of symbolism in Christianity. I was trying to figure out why God has like three things, is made out of three parts. So it's because of this. The reason why God is made out of three parts is because of this. Legit. That's because of this, okay? So void is constant, okay? Things that do not change. Constant, nothingness is paradoxically something and constant. So constant, right, is sameness and the unchanging state. Infinity by itself is constant. So, you see, reality, like I told you before, reality is a highly connected, structured system, okay? It is in some ways, best described as a simulation, but it is also more than that in some capacity, alright? So, change, is to take action. Before taking action to create something, one must find a reference to guide the self. As I've said this before. So it is then that the void, the abyss, right? The abyss. The void is literally the abyss. The void is a reference for what a constant is, okay? Reflect it back to this. You see, everything is, in a way, connected. The void is a part of God and the all is mind. We all live in that mind. And the mind is God. Reality is a highly connected, structured system, and it has a will of its own. I mean, the universe is practically mental. Yes, it is the mind, and the mind is God. Yeah, God is the primordial consciousness. Like the first living being that has consciousness, basically. God took action and changes the void by destroying it and adding constraints. Yep, thus creation came to be in a different kind of constant. A constant that has standard structure to give form and order to all things. Alright. So infinity, right? So no matter what, there are certain things that stay the same, while at the same time everything must also move, alright? So infinity, I'll just write it down. Infinity equals nothingness. Okay? They're by itself. This is what they mean by, so when they say, you know how in Christianity they say the word is God, right? I guess some people read the Bible, but when this phrase, the word is God, the word as in consciousness. That's what they mean in Christianity. So if you, and there, a lot, even Buddhism, Hinduism speaks about this, but they express things in a different way. So word as in consciousness. That's what it is. Right? Even Hinduism, Buddhism, like whatever spiritual doctrine that you're in, right? They would speak of the same thing, but expressed differently, okay? They speak of the same thing, but they expressed it differently, okay? All and spiritual the same thing, but expressed differently, okay? We have variety. So this is the very deep stuff, all the stuff that I'm talking about, like all religions and any spiritual doctrines that are speaking the same thing but expressed differently. So all of this, right? All of this is just fundamental stuff. Most people just skip the fundamentals. Oh yeah, we should also talk about what the meaning of life is. Well, I will give the most precise subjective answer to what it is, alright? So, this is what it means. So, the meaning of life is to, well, I'll answer it actually. To live is a pursuit to create things that we care about. Giving up this pursuit is to slowly die while living. So, when you're asking what the meaning of life is, you're practically asking what life does. So what does life do exactly? Well, it moves, yes, but it creates things as well. So they create things, but you have to care about it first as well. in some capacity, like in a very primitive form of care, that is. So for us as human beings, that is what it means to live. To live is a pursuit to create things that you care about, okay? So ask yourself, what do you care about the most? And from that, how would you create it? And, you know, try to pursue that in some capacity. Terry Davis, right? I'm not sure if some of you know Terry Davis. So Davis says that the meaning of life is to entertain Mr. God, and it's true. And to entertain God, I guess, is to create things that you care about in some capacity. Like, you know, you have to create things that are not really destructive by nature, and yeah. So ask yourself, what do you care about the most, and from that, how would you create it, right? Yeah. So yeah. I could go even more deeply onto this stuff and go, yeah. So, you know, I really just, so when I think about reality, I think about it as a highly connected, structured system, all right? And the natural laws or the hermetic principles, like, made it, you know, neat, very neat to what those, like, the natural laws, right? So natural laws are practically code chunks, all right? So natural laws are code chunks of reality, okay? They are code chunks of reality. So think, and remember, everything that you see mimics each other and affects each other. So, yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of a rabbit hole, but it's very exciting, actually. Very, very exciting. I guess I could make a very, a 15-minute video on what these hermetic principles are. The ones that I usually care about the most is usually this principle of correspondence. I would say all of them are very, very, very important. Like, I would say that everybody, in some capacity, are using these natural laws, but we express them differently, you know? And these seven hermetic principles are, they structured in such a way that it makes things clear for me. It makes things clear on why reality is the way it is and why things are the way they are. Alright? So everything is dual, right? This one is like, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has this pair of opposites, and it's true. And, you know, this one here, the principle of gender, is very, very, it's quite difficult to, it's a bit difficult to understand. It's practically, you know, principle of correspondence plus the principle of polarity. So it's basically this plus this, 2 plus 4, practically. So, male and female, right, is part of duality. It is part of duality, okay? You obviously, I guess everybody knows, well, I guess everybody knows at this point how a living being is created, a human being. Like, they do something in bed, of course. They do something in bed to create a living being. And, you know, it also explains why tomboys exist as well. Because a living being, right, embodies harmonized duality, okay? Within us, right, so the blood, right, is literally the masculine aspect. It's the masculine aspect because it is the changing aspect. In the meat of our bodies, right, the meat, right, is the feminine aspect. So, you know, there's that thing here. So this is the feminine aspect, you know, the the rigid structure of things. That's the feminine aspect. And the masculine aspect is like water. All right. You cannot have anything of value if you lack one of these. Okay. You need to have both, right? You need this. You need this to create something of value. Okay. It's literally just 1 + 1 = 2. Simple. I would theorize that before creation came into being, these two things were separated somehow, right at the beginning of time. And I also mentioned before that there are two kinds of there are two more natural laws. So I made up, so there's like 2 more natural laws. The 7 hermetic principles are like the very basic ones, right? Sometimes there might be 12, like depending on the framework that you adapt, but I went with 9 of them. So the 9th, let me see if I have the 8th generative principle. Do I have it? Here you go. So the 8th principle, right, is called the generative principle. For creation to manifest, you must care about it before actions are taking place. Before actions are taking place. There you go. So that's the generative principle. So it's about attention, this one. So the generative principle is about attention. Like, what do you give attention to? So it's about attention and care. So if you give more attention and care to what you want, then it would most likely manifest, as in come into reality. Okay, manifest as in come into reality. Okay, that's what manifest means, right? And the principal value. So this is what. So principal value, right? I formulated this myself when I thought about the idea of nothing equals something. So to have any form of value to exist in reality, it must have constraints and limitations. Anything that manifests into reality, right, must have things that move, right? That's the masculine aspect of creation, in accordance to the natural laws that are at rest, the unchanging, okay? So anything that is changing, right, is the masculine aspect, okay? The unchanging is the feminine aspect, alright? So container and water, right? Water. This is why, I guess this is the reason why we are baptized with water when you're Christian. It's because of this. We see we emphasize this the most, I believe. Right? It's pretty simple. The changing aspect is the masculine, like blood, water, blood, wine. Right? Simple. It's just that, really. It's literally just that. Remember, right? It stems back to this, okay? You have to connect this idea here. Connect this idea here to this. So, I'm gonna read more. So, nothingness itself is an unchanging state of things, and thus paradoxically, it is also something. And it is. Infinity by itself is also an unchanging state, because infinity is something that is done without any changes. And it's true. Therefore, it is also nothing. Alright? Remember, infinity equals nothingness. You have to make sure that this concept must be identifiable. Okay? Otherwise it won't make sense to you. Things that are at rest and unchanging are feminine aspects of creation, as the feminine is a rigid container that holds things that move, right? Anything that moves is a masculine aspect of creation. It is like water. To understand these dual aspects is to simply look at biological procreation and how the concept of that permeates in accordance with the principle of correspondence. The feminine womb is literally a container, while the masculine semen is literally water, right? You see what I mean, right? Everything that you see mimics each other and affects each other. So in any case, right? Everything is dual, right? Everything. The third is always the harmony of this. Because one cannot exist without the other. Everything is dual because one cannot exist without the other. Remember, the formula? This is literally just the formula of everything. Very simplified. This here is the simplified formula of everything. The third aspect is always the harmony of duality. Okay? Harmony as in this. Right? Simple. It's pretty simple stuff. It's just literally 1 + 1 = 2. To assert that nothingness itself should not be identifiable is willful ignorance, okay? This is very important, alright? To assert that nothingness itself should not be identifiable is willful ignorance. Okay? I would say this is truth. From what I can... I've done thorough thought experiments. So, alright? I've done thorough... I'm not sure if my mic quality is good or not. I think about this a lot, okay? I've done thorough thought experiments, and no matter how I do it, this is the conclusion that I get. Alright? This is the conclusion. The universe is mental. No matter... The slit experiment practically proves this. I guess there's a video about it. How many people are even watching this shit? I could go on and on about this. This one. It's a pretty good video. This video practically proves the fact that consciousness is a property of its own. The slit experiment is literally a property of its own. I'm just gonna put it in here. Whatever. Paste. Whatever. Not sure if it can be seen though. Whatever. I'm not sure if it can be seen or not. But you know, the video's there. So yeah, 2 people are watching. I don't know why there's 2 people watching. Yeah, I just gone through the rabbit hole of how I think about reality. Oh yeah, this one. So, this is just my ramblings right now. Yeah, what a way to debut, I guess. So, I elaborate further on why the source of suffering is the lack of knowledge and understanding. So you know, do any of you watch Silent Voice? Any of you? So Silent Voice is this oh shit. This. It's this movie, right? Literally about a girl who is deaf, right? And she gets bullied by that. So yeah, it's a pretty good movie. And you know, I did my own analysis of it. So when I analyzed the Silent Voice, the character's understanding, right, unsurprisingly, was utterly lacking, right? So the characters, when they bullied her, they were kids, and they bullied a girl that can't hear anything. The inconveniences from her disability has festered discontent, which in turn leads to hatred, and from hatred, bullying. Okay, so her disability is that she cannot hear anything at all. She is deaf, like utterly deaf. And when I analyze that, I zoom out, and see where I could see other examples of it. So I could see these underlying behavioral patterns when competing ideologies and beliefs clash. So right here, right over here is where I explained why racism exists. Okay, why racism and why marginalization exists. Okay, so our internal programming strictly despises anything that is different with no perceived benefits. Okay, unconsciously, this can be seen as a threat to a familiar, stabilized structure. Whenever we interact with something or how we think about something, it has a structure to it. Okay, it has a bit of order to it. We structure ourselves. You know, we have our own routines and such. Okay, and anything that is seen as a threat to this structure will be met with resistance in varying forms. This also explains why people, or why everybody, I guess that includes me as well, why everybody hates new things at times. So it is a survival-based mechanism, and if it doesn't exist within us, the idea of preferences will not mentally exist as well. This loathing of differences can only be alleviated if care is taken to understand it. That is practically, right, what racism, marginalization, and all these things, right, is. What it fundamentally is. Okay? So yes, it's a bit of a rabbit hole. I think very, very deeply about why things are the way they are. I really do. I am INTJ, like my personality type. It's very, I guess it's quite accurate, but not like 100% accurate. It's like 85% accurate. I don't know. So yeah, I guess there's not much to it really. So here's my, I guess I'm gonna show what my itch.io page looks like. So here's my itch page. I guess you could play some of my projects, I guess. Some of them can be played on the browser too. You can play them in the browser. Oh yeah, the music's gonna get loud in this thing. See? Two-player game. You can play them on the browser. There you go. And there's more, and I even have my own website. Let's see if it loads up. Look at that. My old website. So yeah, this is my website that I made back in 2019. It's like, yeah, that's like 3 years ago. 3 years. Oh, yeah, that's my website. I guess I'll show my show reel on this live stream, because why not? Just gonna show this. I made this 2 weeks ago. I should have streamed right after, but I guess there were other things in the background. Oh well. Anyways, I'm gonna show my... just make sure it's 1080p. There you go. Here's my show reel. The stuff that I did while I was in uni. I'm gonna stop the music for a second. Not much to it. Just 30 seconds. We'll probably do more work later on. Still trying to find a job and get into the game industry. I mean, I'll eventually find it. And, yeah. Very thorough. Oh, there's 3 people watching. Say hi. Sure. Close that thing. I guess that's it for the time being. I might live stream Battle Cry of Freedom. What my desktop looks like. Literally just Bliss, but edited. Still using Windows 7 still. Yeah, Windows 7. Still using Windows 7, but you know, I have Windows 10 installed on this machine. I'm just gonna check out my got a 1080 Ti, got very old processor, overclocked, 1080 Ti GTX, pretty good. Undervolted to 1898 MHz. Yeah, I did a lot of this, like getting it optimized as much as possible, so I could do cyclic game on it as well. Haven't made much videos, and I should have made more, but a bit lazy at times. But I should probably able to live stream a bit more now since I've debuted my Vtuber model. Yeah, I know it's not much, but oh well. Gone deep into. I've even explained what my mindset is by going into a rabbit hole. You know, explaining the rabbit hole that I went through, like what reality is and what the universe is. It legit every spiritual endeavor, like every religion, literally accepts this idea. The idea of we live in a simulation is very, very old. Very, very old. I mean, it's expressed differently. It's a modern idea right now, but you know, fundamentally speaking, it's the same thing as this. The idea of that we live in a simulation. It's just the principle of mentalism. Oh yeah, that one's making sound. So yeah. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. There's not much to it. Alright, I'm gonna continue on live streaming later on. Should have advertised it better. Or yeah, the reason why I wasn't able to live stream on the 16th of March is because I was moving out to a new place, and I have to move out a lot of furniture, and now I'm in a new house. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy my Vtuber debut live stream, and thanks for watching.